All right, so we have a square on the outside of the parenthesis. Who does it belong to?
4n.
The 4 and the n. Instead of saying 4n, give it to everybody. When you're a little kid and you're at a birthday party, they don't give cake to everybody and leave you out, unless you're diabetic and you can't have cake. You would be crying, right? So everybody gets birthday cake at this birthday party because the 2's on the outside of the parenthesis. So I'm going to give it to everybody. And I'm going to take my time doing these. One of the ones I'll do later is going to be a little bit more complicated. I'm going to take my time so you don't make silly mistakes, so that when you put it in the calculator, you can get the right answer. So 4 squared is 16n squared. Well, now I look at n. N is 3. So it's going to be equal to 16 times 3 squared, which is 16 times 9, which is 144. All right, now I'm going to check it. So I have the original problem. Never check it with the problem you did from here or here or here, because if you made a mistake, you're going to drag your mistake right along into the calculator, okay? So you're going to do 4n, and in parentheses, you're going to put that 3 and then put the square. You're going to replace the n with a 3, and you're going to put it in its own parenthesis. And you're going to put that in your calculator and make sure you get 144. Well, first of all, there's brackets in this one. When you're keying this in the calculator, we don't use brackets. You're going to use parentheses. So you would just do double parentheses, but we'll deal with that later. All right, so we've got here negative, and w is negative 1/2. I'm going to have to give you the values because they were on the other page. T is 12, parentheses, 12 minus r, and r was negative 1, close parentheses and bracket. So the negative 1/2, what does that turn into?
Positive 1/2.
Yep, positive 1/2. And I'm going to change this into a soft parentheses because it's going to be changed anyway in a minute when we put it in the calculator. I'm going to put 12 plus what? What is 12 minus negative 1? 13. Very good. Okay, so I've eliminated this parenthesis and replaced it with the 12 plus 13. Everybody see what I did?
Yes, ma'am.
So now I have 1/2, and 12 plus 13 is 25, which is 12.5. You're going to put the original in the calculator to check it before you mess around with anything. So you're going to use your parentheses and make sure you've got that right. The t is 12. The r is negative 1, so 12 times negative 1 cubed over negative 1/2 squared. Now that starts looking ugly, and we're just going to take it a thing at a time. Don't worry about it, okay? Okay, negative 1 cubed. What is that? What is negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1? It is negative 1. And what happens is if a negative 1 is got an odd exponent, it's a negative 1. If it's got an even exponent, it's a positive 1. So just kind of remember that. These are things you pick up through the years. So it's 12 times negative 1. And what is negative 1/2 times negative 1/2? So negative 1/2 times negative 1/2 is positive 1/4. Okay? Well, now 12 times negative 1 is negative 12 over 1/4, and that is a negative 48. When you divide things by a fraction, the number gets bigger, not smaller. The numeric value, the absolute value of it gets bigger. Because I'm asking you, how many quarters can I get out of 12 apples? Well, there's 4 for every apple, so it's 48 quarters of the apple. Got it? And it's negative because you have a negative and a positive. but you can use your calculator for this to check it. But I like for you guys to do it in your head and then check it on your calculator and then go, okay, I trust the calculator. But start using your brains. All right, so 7 times 3? 21. Minus, what's 2 times 0?
0.
Plus, don't attack this fraction all at once. What is 2 times negative 1/2? Negative 1. Over negative 1. So what is negative 1 over negative 1? What is anything over itself? It's 1, right? So we got 21 minus 0 plus 1, which is 22. And put all that in the calculator. When you are doing the calculator, put a parenthesis around this and a parenthesis around that so you can tell the fraction where it ends, okay? And if you want to really be careful, put a parenthesis around the whole thing. If not, do one thing at a time and then add them together. So be very careful when there's a fraction involved, okay?